Yo, well, welcome back to the Banter Boys podcast. My name is Sanji. With me is Chris. How you doing, boy?
Hey Sanji, I'm very well, sir. How are you?
This feels like deja vu, Chris.
It's a little bit of deja vu. I wasn't gonna mention it, but if you want it, then by all means, yeah.
we might as well. So, this is our second time having this conversation because we had to record a unique way, with like Zoom or whatever, and I don't really know how it works. So we basically had like an entire conversation, basically finished the podcast, and then realized, oh, it didn't record any of this. So we're gonna try this again. Maybe the conversation might go better. Who knows? But let's just get started right away.
Let's do it.
Why don't we start with the fan introduction segment? Tell us your name, your Twitter handle, the club that you're representing, where you're from, what do you do, and why the hell do you support Fulham?
Sure. No, absolutely, yeah. So my name is Chris. I am from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. For all those of you who do not know where that is, it is 40 minutes approximately from Toronto. So that will kind of pinpoint exactly where we are. I am a banking advisor at one of the largest banks in Canada, well, the largest bank in Canada. What else was there? I'm a Fulham fan. I've been a Fulham fan since 2006 when I moved to England. That same year, I went to a Fulham Middlesbrough game for my first ever Premier League game. Fell in love with the club. Went at least 5 to 6 times this season, and then the last season was actually a season ticket holder before we left. And ever since then, I've been watching them through thick and thin. A lot of struggles watching them, especially because you can only get so many championship games over here in Canada.
Yeah,
But with the zone, that was nice to help us out watching the Prem. And
yeah.
so I'm just doing my absolute best to actually follow them and be able to watch them on telly. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm really, really happy that I was able to find a Fulham fan. You were the only Fulham fan that plays fan tracks, apparently. But yeah, like I was saying before, is it's always refreshing to be able to talk to a fan from like the second half of the Prem, because
Yeah.
you kind of go through the highs and the lows of relegation, promotion, all that sort of stuff. So I think
No,
being in the
exactly.
league, you're able to better appreciate football in a sense, right?
Yeah.
And listen, like going to football games is always special, right? So what a magical way to kind of start following Fulham, etc., etc. So listeners, typically how we kind of do these fan segments is that we have three main sections. So we have a general discussion segment. So we'll talk about impacts of new manager, ownership. We'll go through previous season performance, new season's expectations, old assets, new assets, expected formation, starting 11, impact of the five subs, the World Cup, and then we'll jump through the draft segment of the game, what the fans really fucking care about, the first pick that Chris is going to suggest, the next three picks, hidden gem, and then we'll jump into trading assets, right? What does Chris do? Does he look at form? Does he look at fixtures? Does he do 2-for-1 trades? Whatever his secret sauce is, right? So I think let's jump right into it. Let's talk about ownership and new manager.
Yeah.
Shahid Khan is still around, right?
He
So
is. Yes.
what's up with that? Is there another guy? There's another Khan, isn't there?
Yeah. So yeah, Shaheed Khan, wonderful, a great owner, loves the club, sinks a lot of money to us, can't complain. The
Yeah.
problem with Shaheed is that he had a son named Tony, and decided to let his son be the director of football. And his he is. Don't get me wrong, he's a passionate guy. I
Yeah.
do think he does care about Fulham. I don't think he's an absolute prick that way. However, we are his side project. His
Yeah.
main project is all entertainment wrestling,
Yeah.
which is definitely his passion.
Yeah.
And we are his side team.
Yeah.
And it's clear as day. Just the amount of time he puts into us is nowhere near the same as for the wrestling.
Yeah.
And I don't think he knows fully what he's doing.
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit of a detriment for us. A lot of the Fulham fans are kind of sick of it. We won the championship well before we actually claimed the title. And we should have been looking into signing some players then. And the fact that we haven't signed a center back yet still is a testament to what the hell is Tony doing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, since Shahid took over, you guys have had quite the manager roulette, right? You've gone through the likes
Unfortunately,
of
yeah.
Rainer Mullenstein, Felix Magath,
Oh gosh, not Felix.
Jokanovic.
Oh yeah, Claudio
You Claire,
Ranieri.
yeah,
Yeah.
Ranieri, and even Scott Parker, he's currently
Yep.
managing Bournemouth as well. But now you've got
Yep.
Marco Silva, right? So
Yep.
I guess let's kind of talk about the transition from Parker to Marco Silva, right? Parker is very much defensive, kind of
I
didn't
mean,
attack at all.
yeah,
Yeah, just
complete opposite sides of the
yeah,
coin, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Parker ball was what was called deemed Parker ball, which was essentially pass the ball until you lose it, and if we lose it,
yeah,
we're probably going to concede. That's really
yeah,
how it worked.
yeah,
We were playing for 1-1s at max. If we scored first, then we were playing for 1-0. And in the Prem, you can't do that because
yeah,
that's what happens. They score in the 80th minute, then we get, we capitulate and we lose 2-1. It happened a lot. And I am glad to see the backside of that. Good luck to Bournemouth. They already know from last season how infuriating it can be. I follow a lot of Bournemouth fans, and I'm not one to say I told you so, but I did say it a lot. But yeah, I mean, he's a good guy. That's the thing. Parker's a good bloke. He's a nice guy, but goodness me, he's a bit dull in terms of his play style. His Marco's completely different. Absolute 180.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about now, kind of jump into like how your previous season performance was, right? You guys scored 106 goals, was it?
Insane.
Um,
Absolutely insane. Yep.
Highest scores in the championship, obviously finished first with 90 points, and you also
Mhm.
conceded the third fewest goals with 43, right? So,
Yep, which is even more impressive if you think about it, because it's
yeah,
not like we're leaking goals either, right?
yeah, exactly.
Um, so we did a little bit of the Scott Parker in terms of defending.
Hmm.
That wasn't lost amongst the lads, but the attacking was completely revolutionary for us. Um, Micho getting 43 goals in 46 games,
Yeah,
setting a record. Considering the season prior, he played 2/3 of the Prem games for us. So I'm just glad to see it. It's refreshing.
yeah,
Really is.
yeah, for sure. So, what are you really expecting next season then? Are you just trying to stay in the Prem, or are you aiming for like top 10? Like, what do you think is
Mhm.
possible? Because, I mean, 106 goals is no easy feat, right? It's very fucking
Absolutely not.
impressive.
And I hate it when people say, "Well, it's the championship." Honestly, I'm
Yeah.
not even kidding you. I think the championship is one of the hardest leagues in the world, and I know it sounds kind of weird to say, but it's just a brutal league.
Yeah,
There's
you're
no
playing twice
VAR.
a week, right?
Yeah, we're playing twice a week, sometimes
Yeah.
even 3 times with the COVID
Yeah.
scheduling.
Yeah.
And it's just, you get teams like Millwall, you get teams like Luton Town who are just absolutely going two for the tackle into you.
Yeah.
Ref doesn't see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And some of these boys that we have in our club are a little bit, more, swift with the play style. They're not used to getting absolutely, tackled into and getting absolutely, destroyed off the ball. But I do think we can demonstrate that in the Prem. I think we are Premier League side quality. I
Mm.
think that we can demonstrate that through the way of our play. And it's just we're in that weird limbo of we're too good for the championship, but we're not good enough necessarily for the Prem, and it's really frustrating. But I think for the first time in a while that we actually have the managerial backing and the actual play style to prove that we can stay like we have been in the past. We were in the Prem for 15 years. People think that we were, yo-yo club since 2000. No, we're there for a long time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think we'll be okay. I think personally, my expectation is I would think we could get 14th, 13th, 15th. I
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's that absolute of a stretch. However,
Mm-hmm.
realistic expectation, of course, is just to get 17th. I
Yeah.
think that's the absolute goal for the club to just stay up. And I think that is very realistic. I think that there's a few other clubs that aren't making the signings we are, and
Mm-hmm.
also just a little bit more bleak.
Yeah.
And I think we could definitely seize the day and stay up. And then if we do that, then it's only up from there.
Is there any fear that, let's say there's a post start to the season, do you think Marco Silva can get fired? Because it's not like uncommon, right? Especially how
So,
savage the EPL can be, right?
and it's infuriating because, you know, our schedule, the first 7 games, I think we're facing 4 of the top 6 clubs of last year in the first
Mm.
7.
Yeah.
And in today's day and age, that's good enough. If you only get 2 to 3 points out of those 7 games, people are already asking the sacking. Um, I think let's put it this way. I think if Marco Silva is a Fulham manager by the end of May,
Yeah.
the season is over, we've stayed up and he will be our manager for a good long while. I feel like if we struggle and he gets sacked, then we're just going to get relegated. And honestly, it's in my opinion, in my eyes, and I think it's just bleak after that. I think we're absolutely just going to just rot. It'll be really disappointing.
Yeah,
So I think this is truly the definition of a make or break for us. I really do.
yeah, I mean, just to kind of touch on the fixture run that you were talking about, you start the season off very fucking difficult. Liverpool at home,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
then it's Wolves away, Brentford at home, then Arsenal away, then Brighton at home, then Spurs away, Chelsea at
Spurs and then
home.
Chelsea, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's
Um,
you
yeah. I
think
mean,
maybe you should try and get at least 3 wins out of that 7 game stretch, right? That's ideal, like
that's
perfect scenario,
ideal, of
maybe.
course. I think
Yeah,
if we got 3 wins out of those seven, then I think that's incredible, to be honest.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
the thing that I think the main thing is we got 4 points off Liverpool last season, or not, I
yeah,
say last season, the last time we were in the Prem, of course, two
yeah,
seasons ago.
yeah,
That's incredible. You know what I mean? City
yeah,
wasn't getting that, so
yeah,
we have a little bit of the number of Liverpool. So I don't know.
yeah.
I think if we can get a draw off that game at minimum,
Mm,
then it will kind of settle the boys, and I think we can go from there. Because if we just let's say if it's like a 4-0 kind of thing, then it's just
mm,
gonna be bleak. And it's all about if we get those center backs signed before August 5th, I believe it is, or 6th.
yeah.
So yeah,
Okay, so now let's kind of run through quickly the old assets, new assets. So now you tell me as I name these names, the names that I don't fucking recognize, and I'm probably gonna butcher, for the outs. You tell us whether don't care, or if it is important, just explain how big the loss
sure,
would be, right? So
sure.
starting off with Ty Ashby Hammond.
Yeah, just a bit of a relevant player. Didn't actually play for us in a regular season game, so no detriment there, no loss.
Okay, Fabio Cavalio. Well,
That's
I
the main
mean,
guy.
yeah,
You laughing because you know the case. You know what I mean?
yeah,
No, that
yeah,
hurts. I mean, the
yeah,
only thing that was good about it is we knew he was leaving. It wasn't like, wow,
yeah,
he didn't sign a contract.
yeah,
He was supposed to go in January.
yeah,
He didn't.
yeah,
So we had time to prepare. That's obviously who Pereira is replacing. Is he going
yeah,
to fill the shoes? Who knows? Probably not,
yeah.
honestly. But yeah, it sucks to see him at Liverpool because he will not get near as many games as he did for that. He will for them as he did for us. However, him going is huge for us. Is a
Mm,
huge loss for us rather.
mm,
He was only 19, got so many assists and goals for us.
mm.
It's just again one of those academy players who we just got pennies for, and will hopefully at least for his future actually get to play for the club he signed for because it doesn't happen often when they leave us. It's a bit of a curse.
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of highlight how big of a loss Cavallo is, he
Yeah,
was
dig it
second.
in.
I mean, I gotta give the listeners some stats. We're not all
Yeah.
bullshit on this podcast. Um, so he was second for assists with 8 of them. If you look at key passes, he was also second behind Harry Wilson. He had 60 key passes, and he was also tied second for goals with Harry Wilson with 10 of them. So definitely a big
Mhm.
part of what Fulham did last season. But you know
Yeah.
what? Let me not rub any more salt in the wound. Let's move on. Cyrus Christie.
Didn't even play for us last year at 1 minute. So again, not a big loss.
Okay, Fabry.
Again, backup goalie didn't even play for us.
Michael Hector. Listen, I know he's a Chelsea boy, but I was not a big
Yeah.
fan of him.
I mean, I mean, yeah. I think he played maybe 5 games max for you.
Yeah,
He's not a loss per se. It sucks because he's one of those guys behind the locker room that you could see that made a lot of people laugh and made everyone feel comfortable. So he's one of
yeah,
like those key members of that in that realm. But other than that, playing wise, he's not prem quality.
yeah,
So it's not like a loss in terms of team quality. It's a
yeah.
loss in terms of just an atmospheric one.
Yeah, I mean, he's Jamaican, right? Caribbean people are fucking awesome.
Bro, yeah. No, seriously, him and Decador Reed is so funny. Some of the videos, just that their banter is great. Yeah, so that will be nice.
Alfie Morrison.
That one's a bit more annoying just simply because when we signed him, we expected a lot from him.
Yeah,
He was actually doing pretty well fantasy wise for Swansea. He was scoring,
yeah,
I think it was like an average of one every 7 games. So
yeah,
when he signed for us, I thought that was going to come into fruition, and it didn't.
yeah.
And so the fact that we didn't get any money for him is really the bothersome part. Just kind of one of those ones where a huge loss in the books. I think he cost 50 million.
Mm.
15, that is, in case no one heard that correctly. And he did not bring that whatsoever, not even a
Yeah,
third of that price. So
yeah.
that one just is a bit more annoying rather than a loss.
Okay, Jean-Michel Siri.
This is the one that surprised me. This one blindsided me. He was really good for us last season. We
Yeah,
saw what we expected from him when we
yeah,
signed him in the Prem.
Yeah.
He actually demonstrated that in the championship. Whether people would argue that's his quality now, that's his caliber, if you will. I don't know, but I thought he would have at least been a minimum of a really good rotational player for us. I guess the answer was his wages are just a bit too high to keep on, because he definitely would have stayed on with us. It wasn't like he wanted to leave. We just, did not offer him a contract. And the weirdest thing is that he plays for Hull now. He signed for Hull. So I don't know what you take with that. I don't know
Yeah.
how on earth they convinced him to move there, but
Yeah.
congratulations to them. A very ambitious signing for them.
Yeah.
Just really weird to see. But yeah, he will be missed in my opinion. I will personally miss him at least.
Okay. Timmy Abraham, brother of Tammy.
Didn't play for us.
Yeah.
So I mean, the last name sounds nice, and
Yeah.
the TA, but we didn't get any Tammy out of it, so we got the
Yeah.
Timmy.
Yeah. Jacob Adams.
Never heard of him.
Eric
So.
Amio. I still butchered it the first time we recorded it.
and guess what? I still don't know him. So
All right. Xavier Benjamin.
yep, still sounds like a WWE superstar. Never heard of him either.
Nice. Tyler WWE. I keep dying at that. Tyler Caton.
Again, I probably he's only like 15 years old. I think. Again, just no one.
Jerome Opoku.
He was good for us every preseason, and then as soon as the preseason would end, he wouldn't see a time of day. So, a bit more familiar with his name. Won't be a loss though.
Okay, Jonathan Page.
Sounds like someone from a book. I have no idea who he is.
Julian Schwartzer.
Yeah. So that is actually Mark Schwartz's son.
Chelsea legend.
Chelsea legend. Chelsea Fulham legend. Mark Schwartzer. That is.
Yeah.
But I guess it was just more of a nepotism buy, and didn't prove to be what his dad was for us. So I don't know what I don't know if he's left and gone somewhere else or what.
I think just released is what it's saying here.
It's kind of sad for him in it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so nothing didn't play for us again though.
Okay, what about Jalen Wildboar or Sonny Hilton?
You could have just got that from a random name generator. I'm not. This is coming from someone who knows Fulham quite well. I have never heard of them. I will tell you one person who I know isn't with us anymore because he wasn't with us last season because of the loan situation. But basically, every time we were in the Prem, he played for us, and that's obviously Frank Zambo-Anguissa.
Yeah, he was fucking such a baller.
Bro,
Not just because of his Fantrax points, but because of that fucking name.
No, Frank Zambo-Anguissa. You don't fuck with a guy called Frank Zambo-Anguissa. You know what I mean? Although the only thing that his attitude is absolutely piss poor. Like seriously, when we get relegated, he was on the plane every time. He's like, I'm not playing the championship. But this will be the first season since we've signed him where we're in the Prem and he's not with us, and he will be a loss. I was a baller on the ball. Terrible attitude, but I was an elite player. And as you know, and as my fellow Fantrax players would know, an absolute killer for Fantrax points.
Yeah, he was fucking awesome.
Never goal or assist ever.
Yeah,
but he'd manage to get 12, 12 average per game.
Pure
just because he's absolutely pure ghost beast.
Yeah,
so he's someone who will miss Fantrax wise, more importantly.
Yeah. What about Steven Cessnian, brother of Ryan?
So I is Ryan's twin. So yeah, twin of Ryan, and unfortunately, I guess in the womb, Ryan took all the ability because Steven's nowhere near as good. Unfortunately, we sold the good one and lost. No, don't get me wrong. He's good. Yeah. He's still good. Just one of those players where he will never play for us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know why we loan him out.
Yeah. Okay, last two. I feel like this is going to be a no. I don't know who the hell they are, but Kieran Bowie and Luca Ashby Hammond.
So Ashby Hammond, I do know. Again, didn't play for us.
Yeah.
Plus the other guy you said, never heard of him.
Okay, brilliant. All right, let's go with the ins then. Let's start off with Manor Solomon coming in from Shakhtar Donetsk.
So this for me so far is the most exciting Fantrax player in terms of Fantrax quality. He has Champions League experience. He's not only good on the left foot, but he's also can be equally as good on the right foot. Huge asset for Mitro, absolutely huge asset. And I expect nothing but good numbers from him. He's also a forward in a season where I think there's a lack of forwards and a lack of really good forwards. And I definitely think we'll get, of course, onto it later on, but I think he would be the hidden gem pick for Fulham. as especially if your draft's coming up, because not many people have probably registered the fact that he's in the available to be picked up. But very good player. I think he'll be at least for.
Okay. What about either Callum McFarlane or Christian Sekularak?
Both young players who will be joining us in the academy. Nothing more than that.
Okay, João Palhinha coming in from Sporting.
Yep. So definitely the biggest signing in terms of how the hell did he go to Fulham and how the hell did Fulham convince him to come. And I understand that, you know what I mean? Like that's just, again, this is why Marco Silva is a completely different echelon than Scott Parker. He's the reason why he came. He's said in several interviews, I believe in Marco's vision for the club. The fact that, of course, that Marco speaks Portuguese is a huge drive for why he's came to us. And I think he's going to slot in amazingly well. And going off of what I was saying about Frank, he's just like Frank in terms of on the ball. He knows how to dribble with it. He knows how to push up. He's the exact same height. He's he's a big boy. And I think he will be able to get similar points. So maybe he might be the hidden gem, you know what I mean? Because you see him as a CDM, and a lot of people ignore CDMs, but those ghost points are a real thing. So who knows?
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, let's end it on the high note then. Andres Pereira. Definitely excited, right?
This is the biggest risk of the players we've signed, of course, so far. This could be a huge flop, and I think if he's a huge flop, then it could mean unfortunately Fulham's a huge flop. I think that he holds a huge role that a lot of people don't understand. He's obviously filling for Fabio's spot. He's coming off immense season for Flamengo. They were really, disappointed to find out that they weren't able to sign him and that he was leaving to come to us. Of course, if people don't really follow his career, then they'll just, the banter will be he's a Man United reject. And I get that, you know what I mean? Yeah. He's an absolute reject, but I don't think he truly got to even demonstrate his ability.
Yeah, and he was like utilized in all kind of random positions as well.
Exactly. Yeah. No, yeah, he's literally known as preseason Perlo. So the fact is that he will be playing most likely 30 games for the first time in his career in the Premier League. So this is his chance. If he wants it, then it's his.
It's hilarious that you call him preseason Perlo, because that's exactly what Cash called him for our Manchester United segment.
There you go. You know what I mean? Like that's just it's what it's it's. I hope he proves people wrong. I really for Fulham's sake as much as his.
Yeah. Okay. So now I think let's jump into expected formation. What is how you think you guys are going to shape up, and then maybe go through the starting 11 that you think is going to be.
So if everything's the same way as I think we'll be running a 4-3-2-1. And I'll go over who I think will be most likely the starting 11 for that. Now, this includes, I should mention, 3 players who have technically not signed on the dotted line yet for us.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a little bit, over eagerness from my part, but I do think by the time at least we play Wolves that this will be the 11.
Yeah.
At least I hope.
Yeah.
So in goal, I have Leno.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that's the huge one right now in terms of is it on, is it not? Is he coming? Does he want to play for us? Yes, he does. Are Fulham being tight? Yes, we are.
Yeah.
I think if he does come for us, then he will get similar points to what Areola did 2 seasons ago, which, of course, anyone who played fan checks knew he was getting some insane points just because the amount of shots we were letting on net, right? Leno's just like Areola in terms of he's a shot stopper. So I think if he does, sign, he will obviously be starting 11 100%. And I think he actually could be a pretty good player to pick up too. Right back is another player who technically hasn't signed for us yet. He's just done all of his fitness testing, and that looks like it's good. The word I was trying to remember for the first time he did was medical. He's past his medical. That's the term.
For a first recording, for the longest while,
like
Chris was just like, what the fuck is that word, man? Like
medical. I kept saying fitness level test as if he was like fucking jumping through hoops. So yes, he's past his medical. So it's probably, honestly, by the time this comes out, I assume he will be a signed player. And that's Kevin Mbappé, though, if I didn't say his name. FIFA, maniacs would know him as the absolute pace merchant on FIFA. He's more than that. People actually might not even know that he played for Newcastle for 4 seasons.
Yeah, that's true. I
say he played for Newcastle. I think he played maybe maximum rather 5 games. So he didn't really play, but he was developed through them. So he's familiar with the league, at least in terms of how it works and everything. So I think he would be a great asset for us. And I mean, he's a Swiss international, right? So any
Yeah.
international player you can get in your team
Yeah.
is good if when you're a level like Fulham.
Yeah.
Next to him, next to him, I'll say Tosin.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a Fulham fan. I cannot even pronounce his last name. I want to say like
Ad
Adebayo, but
Adaro Bioyo, right?
yeah, we call him Tosin, and there's a good reason for that. He's
That's why we call Azpilicueta Dave. You know,
yeah,
my
his name's
people
just
can't pronounce
Dave.
that shit. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry,
I
that
mean,
was really racist. But y'all can't pronounce shit, man. Y'all butcher
yeah,
everything.
no, we do. Yeah, no, 100%. So yeah, that's why he's Tosin. I think he's a great player.
Yeah.
I say great player. That's a bit of maybe
Yeah.
exaggerated. He can make a few mistakes, but that's not his fault.
Yeah.
That's just the way we are as a club. Next to him, however, is the third signing who we've yet to make, who I do think will be with us by the time
Yeah.
we play at least Wolves, and that's
Yeah.
Diop from West Ham.
Yeah.
I think he will come in and start as soon as he's fit. I think he's a bit of a knock, so we'll probably have to wait a little bit for him to actually play, but I do think he will come in. Next to him, of course, is the magician, newfound magician, David Blaine, Jedi Anthony Robinson. Another pace merchant that we have who really doesn't know how to do more
Yeah.
than run, but God bless him, he's
Yeah.
good at it.
Yeah.
And everyone knows, of course, Fantrax wise, he's an absolute beast.
Yeah.
So you know what? I'll say this: Fantrax wise, Fulham's actually a pretty good club.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
have a few players who can get the points, whether or not we win or lose. That's the best part. Then we move to the two starting holding midfielders. So we got Harrison Reed. Just one of those ones where he doesn't get the points for Fantrax, but he's good for us. He's he's there. And then we have João Palhinha, of course. I think he's going to be immense. I really do.
Yeah.
And then we have Wilson on the right,
Mm.
Herrera in the center attacking, and then it'll be probably obviously Manor Solomon on the left.
Mm.
And then of course, the Serbian beast himself, Mitra up front.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a couple of players that that have kind of performed for you guys in the past, right? That you didn't really mention. I want to say the likes of, let's say, and I mean, listen, they're probably not with the club, obviously, but the likes of Anthony Knockout, Tom Kearney. Who else was there?
Easton Cabano still with us. He'll be coming off the bench.
Ivan Cavallero as well.
Yeah,
was another name. Right?
You still have him as well.
So do you think the reason I'm asking about Ivan is because I think the last time you guys were in the Prem, he was actually a top Fantrax scorer, right? That's when Mitro wasn't used quite well, and I think Cavallero got pens and was fucking horrible at it. Like Anthony Robinson obviously is a Fantrax beast. Like he's one of those players that just fucking magically racks up points, even though he's not doing anything. But what are you expecting then in terms of like Fantrax points, layouts and stuff like that? Like, are you just expecting Mitro to go back to his best? Because I mean, if you look at, I think, the 2018-2019 season, he scored 388.5 points, which was averaging out to 10.5 points per game, regular default scoring, right? Now, for a guy that scored 43 goals, you'd think maybe he kind of reverts back to this, right?
100%. I mean, especially considering, the 2021 season, he got 27 games under his belt, 3 goals, 3 assists, and in my league format was getting 7 points average, I think, after the season ended, which is abysmal, right? If he does what I think he will do this season, then he will be the likes of similar of Ivan Toney of what last year was, and that's a good pickup. I think that Mitro will most likely be everyone's first Fulham player they would pick up in the draft. I mean, I think the average draft position demonstrates that very point. And I don't think that's the wrong choice at all to draft first if you're going to draft a Fulham player. But I do think this is his season to prove himself. And I think he's a very good bet. If you can get him in like 7th, 8th round somehow, for me, what a steal. But
okay, well, I mean, before we jump onto like the whole draft side of things, let's quickly talk about 5 subs World Cup. Fuck that Winter World Cup. But the 5 subs. I mean, when we did our Bournemouth segment, Carl, who was our fan representative, actually did not like this whole 5 minutes rule, right? He says how it kind of pretty much just benefits the top clubs that actually have the depth to use it. What are your thoughts about this?
No, and he's obviously Amen to that. It's stupid.
Yeah.
It's absolutely in favor of the big teams.
Yeah.
We have the likes of, and I'm not, trying to insult them, but we have the likes of Cabano, Cavallero, Kearney coming
Mm.
off the bench, and those are our
Mm.
three best subs, let
Yeah.
alone, top, five. And then you have the likes of Mahrez and, a tired Bernardo Silva coming off the bench for City
Yeah.
sometimes. It's just
Yeah.
ridiculous. That's not the same caliber whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's not fair. It's
Yeah.
also, as you probably assume, not good for fan checks.
Yeah.
If you would like to abuse, auto subs like a few of my friends do in our league, then that is not going to be, as good for you because you
Yeah.
have statistically a worse chance of having, the likelihood of a player coming on off the bench.
Yeah.
But those are the rules, and I honestly don't think anyone's really in favor of those, except
Yeah.
for players who want to come off the bench.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and then of course the World Cup in the winter absolutely fucks with everything. But we have the kid to Qatar apparently, and
Yeah. How many players are going for the World Cup, you think?
Top of my head, I think 5.
Mm.
And I'm going to go over them quickly. So Mitro, obviously, 100%.
Yeah.
If we do sign Kevin, which I think is not pretty much done, he's gone.
Yeah.
Anthony Robinson for the States.
Yeah.
Polinia might make it probably on the Portugal bench. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
And then Harry Wilson will play for Wales. So 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I mean, before we move on, you're Canadian. You're from Canada. You must be fucking
indeed.
over the moon that Canada's in the World Cup, and you guys are gonna host some of the games for the next upcoming World Cup.
Yeah, absolutely ecstatic. It's been over 30 years since we've been in the World Cup, and the fact that we're going to make it to 2 World Cups back to back is insane.
Yeah.
However, I think it's deserved. I don't think it's something that we've worked for it, and to have the likes of Jonathan David and Alfonso Davies in your team, those two players can fit in nearly every international lineup. So this is huge for us, and it's I'm expecting a goal. You know what I mean? If we score, I'll be happy, and that's really, that's just who I am. You know what I mean? I'm a Fulham fan and a Canada football fan, and I don't expect much, but when I'm blessed with a goal, and I get excited. It's the equivalent of Manchester United reaching a Europa semi-final or whatever it is for them nowadays. So
trust me, I share that sentiment because I'm actually from Trinidad and Tobago. So when we made the World Cup,
2006, right?
Yeah, it was the one in Germany, right? We drew to Sweden 0-0. I was living in Barbados at that time. I ran out my door waving my Trinidad flag like we won the World Cup.
Absolutely, brother. No, 100%. You know what I mean? I'm not kidding you. We have Croatia, Belgium, and Morocco, and if we draw one of those games, I'll be over the moon. Just draw.
Yeah.
And a few of us Canadians have a way high expectation because we dominated our group stage. But World Cup's a completely different beast.
Yeah.
And I'm just excited to watch them on television and sing the national anthem, and I'll be emotional about it, and I can't wait.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, really happy for you, man. Okay, let's move on now to the draft side of the game, the segment that the fans actually give a fuck about.
Yes. And if you fast forward it, I do appreciate it. But here we go. Let's go.
Okay, let's talk about your first pick from Fulham. I think it's obvious, right?
It's gonna be obvious. It has to be Mitro. It's what I recommend to anyone out there who's thinking about picking up a Fulham player. And if you don't pick him up, then someone else is going to. That's just the fact. There's no way you're in a joke league if he's not drafted. That's just the case, and you know that. So he will be taken by someone. And it's all about what position you take him in. And I think right now he's averaging 7th, 8th. There will be some leagues where he might go 6th if people are desperate for a 4, and there might be some leagues where he might drop down to 9th because they think they're going to get what he was 2 years ago. But he's 100% the person you got to pick for Fulham for first. And I think he will end up being the best player for Fulham. So I think he'll warrant that pick.
So where would you suggest managers draft him then? Which round?
So let's just say it's a 10-man league average, because that's what it usually is, right? For a lot of people leagues. I would say probably 8th.
Okay.
7th, 8th.
What about 12-man league? Because that's usually what I play with, actually.
Okay, then 7th or 6th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you be happy with 2 forwards like Tony and Mitro as your forwards for the season? I know there's a scarcity of forwards at the moment. It's really, really tough, right?
So are you saying, would I be happy if my 2 main forwards were Ivan Tony and Mitro?
Yeah.
No.
But what if your midfield had the likes of, let's say, Madison and Mount?
Pick,
KDB or something like that. Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, if Mitro and Ivan Toney your two strikers, then you have to
Yeah.
have a KDB in
Yeah,
midfield, right?
exactly. Yeah.
So
That's what I'm
therefore,
saying.
then yeah, of course, then that's not that bad.
Because Mitro's
You
on
are
pens, right?
Vito's, of course, on pens.
Yeah.
However, Fulham is not good with pens, as you know.
Mm,
I think Ivan Toney and Mitro are kind of too similar of the same player. They
yeah.
show up and then go away for 2 weeks, and then show up and then go away
Yeah.
for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But they are also their team's main goal provider. So
Okay.
if let's say if Brentford and Fulham score, guess who's probably scored? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's good. I would say that's good if you have a KDB in the midfield.
Okay. Let's move on to the next three picks. Who do we got?
Okay, so I'm gonna have to honestly say, and this is gonna be bold because there's no obviously prior data whatsoever.
Mm,
But I'm gonna say Manor Solomon only because I
okay.
think he's so versatile with the left and right.
Mm,
Um, and I think he's just gonna be an absolute machine for Mitrovic. And what I've seen through highlights of his play style, I think he suits Mitrovic the most, just
mm,
because he's so explosive on the ball.
mm-hmm,
And I also think the fact that he is a forward in Fantrax, that's his confirmed position,
mm-hmm.
that's just a benefit for the league. And I think he will probably be second. And the thing is, there's not much data on where he's getting picked right now either, because he just got added today, right?
Mm,
So if let's say you're in a 12-man league as a forward, maybe like 11th or 12th.
okay.
I reckon I mean, there's definitely obviously he's going to get picked after Mitro.
Yeah.
But I do say, I suggest for a third tier striker, 100% he's good enough, in
Okay.
my opinion.
Okay.
Um, and then I have a combined tie for the next two, which would be Pereira and Harry Wilson, and for the main reason of they're both on corners.
Yeah.
Harry taking the left and Pereira taking the right.
Mm,
So far, Fulham have scored 6 goals in the preseason. Obviously, it's preseason, but we
mm-hmm.
still look at that kind of data, and based off what you can see,
Yeah.
5 out of 6 of those goals have been dead ball goals,
Mm-hmm.
and then 3 of the 5 of those goals have been from corners.
Yeah.
Mitro scoring, of course, each and every single one of them. Pereira
Yeah.
getting 2 assists off the corner, and Harry
Yeah.
Wilson getting the other one. This is the best Fulham have looked for set pieces in a long time.
Okay.
You'd think that this would be something you would be consistent with because of Mitro and his height and his ability, off the ball.
Okay.
However, we actually have the consistency now of scoring corners, it looks like.
Yeah.
So that is something that a lot of Fantrax players will want to look at.
Mm,
I mean, if you're into Fantrax, you know that you want to know who's taking the corners, you want to know who's taking the free kicks.
yeah.
Wilson will most likely still be the free kick taker for us.
Yeah.
He's guaranteed to take those left-sided corners, so
Yeah.
probably has the edge over Pereira. Honestly, they could both be probably over Solomon for points wise. I wouldn't be that surprised.
Yeah.
But they are definitely, those two players will 100% again be drafted in your league.
Yeah.
If you're in a
Yeah.
12-man league, they will be taken. You're not going to get them
Yeah.
off the wire unless they're, later down the road, they're just getting no points, and you can pick them off then. But they will be drafted 100%, both of them.
Okay, and what round would you go for either Harry Wilson or
So Wilson,
Pereira?
I think, is getting average around 10 and 11.
Mm,
Pereira just behind him at 12, 13.
yeah.
I think Wilson, I think that's fair. I think
Yeah.
that's fair. I think if you're in a 12-man league and you get a Wilson,
Yeah.
honestly, I just see his name and I see points this season. So I think Wilson definitely is a nice midfield pick.
Okay. So your three are basically Solomon, Wilson, Pereira.
And then Mitro is number 1, of course.
Yeah.
So it's really
Okay.
4. Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. Okay, so now that we've kind of talked about like the 3 picks, the first pick, why don't we talk about at least one hidden gem? Maybe you've got another one up your sleeve.
Yeah. I'd say, I always have more than one for everything. So I have 2. I've mentioned briefly both of them. Polinia is a hidden gem.
Yeah.
Because I think he will do Zambo's role.
Yeah.
And I think he will get Zambo's points.
Yeah.
And the difference is he has scored a few goals for Sporting, and he's already scored a goal for us in preseason. Zambo didn't get goals.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of a difference. There might just be the ghost, but there also could be the potential actual physical points coming in from, goals and assists.
Yeah.
The other hidden gem would be Leno. I know goalies are rarely ever drafted unless, they're the top 2, like, Ederson and Allison. So I don't expect anyone to draft Leno. But I wouldn't be surprised if he's a top 6 keepers in the league by the time the season finishes. I wouldn't actually be that surprised at all. So I would say those 2. Anthony Robinson's a less of a hidden gem, more of an obvious gem. The only
Yeah, I
reason
was
he's
just
getting
gonna
like
bring him up actually.
yeah, like the only like there's just I guess there's that Fulham bias where I know he's not the greatest player, and so
Mm,
therefore, to me in my head, I wouldn't recommend people draft him. But then
yeah.
I remember this is Fantrax. This player's ability doesn't actually represent Fantrax points clearly,
Yeah.
and I picture as if he was listening to this and he's crying, but of course he's no, but like he is a Fantrax proven player,
Yeah.
so he will be
100%.
drafted as well.
Yeah.
And he's not even a hidden gem. If you know Fantrax, you know that he's going to be taken.
Mm.
Um, and he might be very well the only defender who gets taken, unless again comes before you draft, and he very much will probably be drafted as well.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, Anthony's a magician, right? So that probably explains why
I
he's
mean,
getting all these points.
that is true. Like just quick slide of the hand. Look at that, 15. Ghost points. Like okay, buddy. Like
There you
fair
go.
enough. You know what I
There you
mean?
go.
Like absolutely, yeah. Stellar point. Good point.
So which round would you take Paulinho?
One of those like 15th, 14th.
Yeah.
I mean, he is getting drafted. He's on the
Yeah.
ADP. He's on the 12-man league. He's getting taken, I think, 15th, 14th.
Mm.
So I'd take him then. I wouldn't draft Leno because no one's gonna probably draft him.
Mm-hmm.
And then Robinson, I actually forget what his ADP is, just because I'm a bad fan
So
again.
Robinson's ADP is currently 146.
So that proves to be in a 12-man league. What is that? That's around 13th, 14th.
Yeah, I don't know how to do math. I build robots. They do math for me.
Fair enough. I think my math is correct. My job is more to do with math. So I don't have Rob was doing my accounting
I mean,
stuff. So
the way it works in my head is that okay, 146 you divide by 12, then
12,
yeah,
and
so
that's
you get
12th
you get
round,
12.
right?
Yeah,
Because
there you go.
144.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you
So
go.
12, 13.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was thinking 11th man league for my because that's me being biased with my own
Yeah.
personal thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, around 12th position. Anything before that, I would consider a stretch.
Mm.
Anything after that, I would consider very well done. That's a solid burst player you just got.
Yeah.
He can win. He can win a weekend for you.
Yeah.
If he gets he has won a weekend weekends against me before. So
Yeah.
he is that kind of guy. It's insane. He's really annoying franchise wise. Again, I'm gonna go on a tangent about this guy. You just watch him, you're like, he's so But
Yeah.
in Fantrax, you look at the Fantrax, it's like 16 points before you even get the bonus for 90 minutes played. It's incredible.
Yeah, it really is. Okay, lovely. So now I think let's go on to the final segment, which is trading assets, right? So how long have you been playing Fantrax for?
Yeah, so I've been Fantrax. This will be my 5th year, and the year my first ever year was in Toga. So it's really 6 years in fantasy draft football.
Okay. So definitely an experienced manager. So what do you look at when
listeners?
You do trades?
I have won 2 seasons. Okay,
there you
so
go. Flex if you have
exactly.
to.
Right? Every 3rd season, your boy Chris comes through and gets a dub. Okay, so take that what you will, but this is someone who's won a league or two. Okay, so
I mean, do you do trades? And if you do, what do you look at? Do you look at form? Do you look at fixtures? Do you typically do 2-for-1 trades, 10-to-1 trades? I don't know.
This is when all of my friends who are listening to this eventually are gonna laugh because I am known as the devil in terms of trading. They call me the worst names under the sun. I am a shithead when it comes to trading. I will offer you the most useless trades for you and the best trades for me, thinking you're an absolute fool for taking them. I don't know why I do that. I used to get away with it because everyone thought I was innocent, and then they realized this guy's a scumbag. But my philosophy in trading, and this isn't even a secret to the people who I know me because they've kind of clocked it now. I look at future fixtures. It's a combination of future fixtures and a player who is absolutely overplaying their points and going well above and beyond what they're capable of doing. It's all about learning when to sell when they're at their high, and just as about the drop, you sell them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I remember a couple of seasons back, that was with Richarlison, who was at Watford.
Yeah.
That's what made. In fact, that was Toga. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I sold him for Ericsson, who was doing terribly at Tottenham at the time. Did a 1-for-1 swap, and I ended up winning just because of Ericsson. It's all about learning when to trade at the right time, and it's hard to do that obviously because you got the likes of, let's say, Bowen. And don't get me wrong, he was consistent the whole season, but there was he's one of those players where is he going to stop playing well? You know what I mean? Because he's just one of those bland players, right? He's not. But but you got to know when to pull the trigger and just say, hey, listen, I'm watching, Gundogan, and he's, starting to play a few more games, and he's doing pretty well. And with rotation, should I trade that kind of player because he's not going to necessarily start? But yeah, my biggest advice is, if you feel like a player is about to go on a downhill spree, or it's just kind of plateaued points wise, then trade him, because most likely that player is going to go on a downhill and you're going to get stuck. Always sell on a high.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, I think that's all we had planned to talk about. That's pretty much the podcast. I don't know. Is there any other stuff that you kind of want to add about any of the topics or assets that we've kind of discussed? Or any final pieces of advice for managers that are playing, maybe their first season or their 10th season?
Yeah, I mean, so I'll go off one for people who are new to Fantrax, because I've seen a lot of people actually going to be new to the season. The draft formula is definitely on the rise, rather than the cringy fantasy Premier League when you choose and pick a player every week and stuff. But I would say for the first year players, don't look at the name. This isn't FIFA. You're not picking an 85 rated player. And thinking he's going to be great for you. There is hidden gems. There are players like the likes of Anthony Robinson. There's players like the likes of, there's several examples. Like people, for instance, who's that Leeds player who came from Firpo, Junior Firpo? He came from Barcelona, remember? Yeah. Oh, he's going to be immense. Shout out to Abdul. He thought my friend, he thought he was going to be terrible. So good. He was the first player in my recollection who got a consistent, he had a minus average. He's the first player I've ever seen that. After 3 games, he had a minus average of 2 average points per game. I've never seen that. So it's one of those where just because you know the player's name doesn't mean they're going to equate in Fantrax. Because a lot of people will see the likes of a Rodri, right? And in regular fantasy football, why would you ever pick him out? But in fantasy Fantrax, he's an immense player. You know that, I'm sure, right? Rodri was insane. Because just because they're a bit boring doesn't mean that they're boring in Fantrax. And that's why I love Fantrax. It gives those kind of players like Polinia, Zambo, Rodri, you know what I mean? Those players get to shine. For sure. Because tackles are important. Tackles one are important, steals are important, clearances are important, blocks are important. So definitely focus on that. Don't focus all on goals and assists. Focus on how is this player getting these points when he's not getting goals and assists. Because goals is as important as actual points, coming from goals and assists.
I mean, one of your players that I'm excited just from a ghosting perspective is Harry Wilson, right? He got 102 key passes last season, right? Like, even if he doesn't get assists or anything,
he pushes up so much.
Exactly.
And that's the other thing, and that's what I was going to get on. Those selfish players who you get frustrated with, like, why are you shooting that, Harry? Why are you shooting that? Guess what they just got you? They just got you 2 points for an SOT, shot on target. You know what I mean? And that's what you want. At the end of the day, as a Fulham fan, obviously I'm going to get pissed because Harry Wilson shot a shot he shouldn't have missed. He should have shot and should have passed it. But guess what? If you have Harry Wilson on your team and you drop him in 9th, he just got you 2 points for that. You know what I mean? That's why it's annoying when you support a football club and they're in Fantrax, because you're happy that they're getting you points, but at the same time, they're not demonstrating that for your actual team in the league. So definitely focus on ghosts, because I think a lot of people in the beginning focus just on strictly goals and assists and clean sheets, but really look into how they're getting that points elsewhere, because that is a very underestimated little bit of statistics that go under the radar.
Okay. Brilliant. Man, this has been a fantastic chat, Chris. Thank you so much for putting up with my ass.
Brother. No, man. Thank you for staying up till 3 a.m. over where you are and putting up with the fucking abysmal time zone.
Listen, I can chat football any time of the day for any length of time. Like towards the end of last season, we had 2 3-hour podcasts and we cut shit out. Like
100%. If you ever need me for whatever reason, I am always available.
Oh, bro, we'll definitely have you back on. 100%. I love your energy. I love that everything that you have to provide. Because our plan is to kind of catch up with these fans. Maybe they'll have updated information about some assets. Maybe suggest other assets that we're overlooking. That sort of stuff.
Exactly.
Right.
So. And Fulham, they'll be buying 2 or 3 players in January because we'll be desperate to fill some roles that are bleak, and I'll be back to say, hey, guess what? This player might be it for us. You know what I mean?
And who knows who your manager manager will be then as well,
Don't even
right?
say that. It's going to be Marco Silva, and we're going to be seventh in the league. All right, we're going to be fine.
Yeah,
Nah,
yeah,
in
yeah.
all honesty, I'm a huge Fulham fan, and I'm even bigger probably Trax fan. So I'm passionate for both things, and it's nice to see someone who's equally passionate about Trax. And
100%.
I
Thank you,
can't wait
man.
to hear more from you. And it's been a
Yeah,
blast.
definitely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, keep in touch. Keep listening to the pod. Take part in the
100%.
community is what I would say as well, right? To anyone
Yeah,
who's listening right now, we have a listen. It's not as big as the FPL community, but we do have our own special community, and it's growing.
we do.
It's
No,
growing
we
every
do.
fucking
Yeah.
day, right?
No,
It's the
seriously, if
same
you type
thing.
in fan
Yeah,
tracks on that Twitter search engine, you're
yeah,
seeing more and more
yeah,
football fan tracks rather than baseball and American football and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
no, it's
And
for sure. It's rising. It's really exciting to see.
don't be
And it's free.
afraid to, yeah, exactly, it's free. It's fucking free. And don't be afraid to, like, ask questions, ask for help, start conversations, right? That's one of the
Yep.
reasons we're starting this fan segment. Like, I'm sure, Chris, you'd be more than happy to answer any Fulham questions, right? If anyone
Oh, no,
reaches out to
seriously.
you.
If
Yeah.
you want to be foolish enough to come and PM me and ask me a question, and you want me to be the reason why you blow your title season, then absolutely I'm here for you.
uh
Nah,
sp-
no, no seriously. So
Speaking as a
message
two-time
me.
winner, he's being so modest all of a sudden.
I I have yeah, I am an absolute yeah. No, just yeah, feel free to message me.
Yeah.
And especially if there's another signing that might come in before your draft, and
Yeah.
I'll let you know if even if for any club, I'll let you know if they're good or not, in
Awesome.
my opinion, for fan checks.
Love it. Thank you so much again, man. All right,
No,
listeners.
thank you.
So we are gonna sign off now. I think the next episode, it's supposed to be maybe Crystal Palace. I have no idea how we keep fanning these fans, but you know what? I fucking love this community. That's what this community is about, right? Everyone's just happy to come together and help each other out. And yeah, just looking forward to the next one. So until then, peace.